Hello, welcome to your CCA Saturday evening. My name is Skepidillions and I'm here with Okamu. Are you ready for our Div 1 match tonight?
I am super excited. I have been following Big Fat Sea Cows for a while. One of my friends is a huge fan. Shout out, Jason. So I was planning to watch this anyways. Super stoked that I'm able to commentate it.
Me too. I love Big Fat Sea Cows. I've been friends of friends with the members of that roster for quite a while, and I didn't realize that I have another pal on the side of Central Michigan University, Sigdakari. The support, I believe they play Penn as well these days, on that side of the match. So we got good people playing these matches. Excellent characters in terms of the energy that they bring to any environment that they're in. Wonderful human beings, and I'm super excited to see them play.
Yeah, and I mean it's an interesting map list tonight as well, I think. Starting off with the Rainmaker Humpback, I believe. Um, Not too uncommon of a map, but certainly one where we can see some really interesting comps come out. Um, what do you think?
Um, I think that the map list is a little unorthodox, but I know that CCA likes to bring some spice to their map pools, and I respect them for that. Rainmaker Humpback is something that a lot of these players have been playing for ages. It's one of the classic Splatoon 2 maps that we still continue to play to this day. TC Hammerhead, I know, has quite an enthusiastic fan base, so I'm excited to see what these teams can do here.
Enthusiastic fan base. I am personally not sure I've met them, but I'll take you at your
They're out
word.
there. They're out there.
Uh, all right.
All right, so here we go. We got both teams running into mid. Central Michigan is the first to get pop. Given that they do have a lot of bombs on that side of the map, we do see Walk taking a defensive position here on that right side, as Big Fat Sea Cows are the first team to take control of the Rainmaker, despite being the first team to drop a member in that opening.
Yeah, I think to circle back to the comps here, really interestingly, we actually have two different approaches here. We've got that ballpoint splatling on the side of Big Fat Sea Cows here, and the cooler option coming in with that tri-slosher. Definitely something I think that lends itself well to this particular style of map where AoE and hitting up above those ledges is so cool. But just like that, we've already got both checkpoints down. It is hammer time.
Yeah, trading stamp for stamp there in the elbow. We do see Central Michigan getting 5 more points in order to pull a very narrow lead as Signakari on that pencil. I'm sorry, Signakari's on the bucket, it seems. The pencil player on the side of Central Michigan forced to back and give jumps. Thankfully, they do have that cooler, but Big Fat Sea Cows having these specials online, putting some pitcher pressure on that elbow with that crab and that stamp to try and swing that here. The bomb! They're being run at by every direction! They do manage to pull lead, but again, incredibly narrow here on a map like Rainmaker Humpback.
Yeah, I mean, a lead in name only, we might say. Getting around that corner really is the sticking point. Once you can get through there, as long as you can keep the opponent back further towards their spawn, you've got a great runway straight to that final checkpoint there. But it's really this issue of getting around that checkpoint corner there. We see them try and get a little bit further, down to 30, the lead swapping once again.
Yeah, and we see Totem here getting 1.5 with that bucket, trying to get Walk, but Walk swimming away as fast as they can. Big Fat Sea Cows having control of the Rainmaker, but they are pretty decently surrounded by that blue ink across the map. We do see Fox taking some pot shots towards that right side of the map, and if I were a betting squid, I would think that somebody on the side of Central Michigan has to be looking at some sort of alternative angle here, because Big Fat Sea Cows slowly getting pick by pick, working their way up, and they have this stamp here for this repop.
Yeah, I mean, something to point out there. besides the amazing stamp play from Whack here, was the ability of VCU to really actually use the Rainmaker itself as a weapon there. We saw it getting, 2-3 kills in a row there.
Yeah.
The Rainmaker just has such great AoE potential that on a map like Humpback can really help clear that particularly annoying corner. But wow, at this point, they're just rounding that corner like nobody's business and speeding down however far they can. Not quite far enough to swap that lead, though. And VCU is going to drop that Rainmaker back in mid, say, hey, you're going to have to do that all over again.
What's really shocking to me here is how back and forth both of these teams are exchanging very narrow leads on a map mode that is notoriously prone to snowballing. We do see Mini trying to work their way up, knowing that they have a they have this lead, so they don't really need to push right now. But knowing how quickly their opponents would be able to take lead if they were to say wipe, it does keep them looking towards that elbow in an attempt to push.
Yeah, and I mean, as we were saying before, it is really dependent on getting around this corner to make the lead yourself. But vice versa in this scenario, if you've already got the lead, and especially if you get a lead down to 12 like we just saw VCU get there, you don't need to round that corner, actually. You can chill very comfortably and make your opponents have to round it instead. It is a prime position to stall that Rainmaker out. And VCU was plenty happy to do it there until they saw their opening, and what an opening it was.
Speaking of patience, now VCU is in a position where they have those fizzy bombs between that ballpoint and that Tri-Slosher Nouveau, and those are excellent sub-weapons for controlling that choke point. Central Michigan knows that they're going to have their work cut out for them. We do see that Stamp coming out, trading out the Wiper as well. We've been seeing that a lot this game, the wiper for wiper trades, but Central Michigan's feet are about to be to that fire with 10 seconds left in the game. The strike's coming out, but they're not going to find any picks. Sigdokari is alone in that elbow, currently trying to take a 1v2, a 1v3 underneath that elbow, and that is GG's, with no one left in front of the fish to paint their feet.
Yeah, and I mean, really great play by VCU there to hold on to that jet until they absolutely needed it. There's no way for the Rainmaker, without a very precise shot, to knock that jet out of the sky. Humpback spawn area is just so wide open in the air there, no walls to bank it off of, and when you have all that AoE and paint in front of the Rainmaker, there's just not a lot you can do if you're Central Michigan.
Yeah, and this patience here from Mini, you got to keep in mind 26 is such an incredibly small lead on this map. And we see why here. All it takes is that little strip of paint and a cheeky squid roll to get that down to 12 remaining. Now, 12 remaining also is one of those type of leads on Humpback where you expect that to be able to slip out of your grasp at any moment. However, having that lead, which was such a significant jump compared to how, tit for tat we were for the rest of the game. A beautiful play here from Mini and great patience with only 10 seconds or so left on their head.
Yeah, I mean, what a great way to start us off in that set. That lead was just on a razor's edge that entire match, back and forth all the way through. But now we're going to be headed into Clams on Inkblot. Pretty standard Clams map, I think. Nothing too out of hand here. Mostly just looking at how well are these teams going to be able to control those stacks in mid, use that high ground to try and get their push going, as well as how they balance their approach to get to that basket between the left side and the right side of their plat. I'm wondering, do you think we'll see any particular comp changes here now that we're shifting the map up a bit?
No, to be honest, I think it's still too early with both of the teams figuring out how each other are playing. I don't expect to see any comp changes. We do see a small change switching from that slosher, a shot to the machine in the hands of Toto. But the rest of the comp remaining stable. Given how even that game was up until Mini managed to pull lead with that Rainmaker, expecting to see some stability here. Both teams just going to try and diff each other,
Yeah, I mean, it's really going to come down to these fights around the stacks in mid. How well can you use this geometry to really get a foothold in mid? And then from that high ground on top of the stacks, push forward there. Speaking of pushing forward, Fox already up here at the basket of Central Michigan, putting that power clam in. Let's see if they're able to keep the defense.
It doesn't look to me like they're going to be able to sustain this push. Toto is the only one with power clams, having 6 of those in their hands. That is enough to very quickly form and go for, a successive push here. But these strikes out from Signakari on that left side of the map going to do some work in keeping those members of Big Fat Sea Cows back. Now we see Walk on this right side of the map going to try and get the assist there with that torpedo, and then very quickly followed up by one on that stamp. Beautiful hammer toss there from Walk, and look at that movement to take that block. To me, it looks like Walk is very experienced on playing this map and knows exactly what they want to accomplish to take that plat.
Yeah, I mean, it puts a big smile on my face to see that newly buffed hammer already coming into play in our matches here, with that wondrous one shot from way down in mid. But looks like VCU here is going to try and be taking mid back on their own, using that crab from the high ground, but the pencil's going to shut it down. And so Central Michigan in a bit of a sticky situation here, just the pencil on their plat, and the booyah potentially coming in soon from VCU here. We'll see if they can get anything out of it.
Yeah, but there's that stamp. But the stamp's going to break that Booyah armor and get 2 members down on the side of VCU. Walk again, pushing back up onto this plat as quickly as they can, trying to run up at Mini. A beautiful play underneath that ledge out from Walk, and that's going to turn the tides in favor of Central Michigan. Look at all of that beautiful blue paint there for them to try and play off of. We need clams on that plat right now, gamers.
Yeah, not only do we need clams, we need some specials. It is dry in the special economy here, and that just makes it so much harder to push. There is only so much you can do when you're trying to get up to this plat on Inkblot. You've got this left wall to come up and this right ramp that you can approach through. But without specials, they are basically chokes, each of their own side.
Here we go with Lux again on that hammer, working their way up. They are going to try and use that hammer to clear bats. Keep in mind that VCU did get 2 members down. Henry does try and top, but does get picked by Fox. And look, Fox going straight for the neck. They're going right up to that bats area. Mini does try and toss that clam, does miss the duck and roll, and the jump out. Beautiful play from Mini there, and that is a dead push from Big Fat Sea Cows, but my, what a margin they extended their lead by.
Yeah, we always talk about in clams, you want to get past 60 in order to get that 2 power clam breakpoint out of the way. But further is always better, and 29 is a great place to be. These strikes coming out from Henry here, trying to push VCU back towards their plat as Central Michigan moves into mid, trying to get up their clams. Got these strikes online. We're going to see if they're holding on to them, maybe to try and snipe out that booyah on the side of VCU, or they could use them to try and push directly, which looks like what we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, we do see the hammer coming out from Walk, but the members of Big Fat Sea Cows bundled in that corner are just going to each be able to take. They only need to hit 1 shot each. They managed to cancel that. We do see Walk continuing to try and push up to play off of these strikes, but they're going to get punished for that, given that there were no other members of Central Michigan to follow up on that play. Big Fat Sea Cows doing a great job here of holding on to their solid defense, letting Central Michigan take risky engagements and punishing them for it.
40 seconds left here. If you're Central Michigan, the time is your enemy here. You may have a few power clams online, but you've got to get across the map one way or another, and that hammer is unfortunately not going to be the answer you're looking for. But 2 down on the side of VCU. If you're Central Michigan, this could be the opportunity you're looking for as those strikes go down.
My concern here is that we have 3 of them holding a power clam, and that's telling Big Fat Sea Coast exactly where they... Are you kidding me? They got all 3 of those in at the exact same time. Beautiful play there, while Big Fat Sea Cows only had 1 member left standing. Now, Big Fat Sea Cows, they got a long way to go. You got to keep in mind that their penalty is at 30. That is a significant penalty when at this point you got 15 seconds down in this game. Lux goes in, does get one, but the pencil up there, StatEXE trying to get them. Somehow the hammer still doesn't kill. They didn't patch that well enough. Big Fat Sea Cows having no clams on that plat. It's just Toto. Toto has all of those clams and they're so far away from basket. Henry getting that pick, and with it, Central Michigan taking game 2.
Yeah, I mean, what a play from Central Michigan. We saw, as you were saying, holding those power clams, especially more than 2 at a time on your team, is letting your opponent know where over half of your team is. You cannot have any secrets when you are holding that many points with you. But despite that, they were able to leverage the power of those strikes and the power of that 2 down to just push their way up onto VCU's plat and get all of those in. It was just not enough firepower on the side of VCU to really shut down that ramp choke before the worst could come to pass.
I don't want to say it's the comp, because look how similar these comps are, right? We got a pen, we got a short range shooter, we got some sort of bucket and AoE and a wiper on both sides of the map. What it came down to for me was the fact that VCU knew where all of the members of Central Michigan were. And to quote a certain, Zuko meme, just react. And when they went 2 down, and then the other 2 players, one of them, I don't recall who it was, I think it was the pencil left standing, did not immediately take an extremely defensive position. I didn't see what picks them there, but with 3 power clams heading into the final 10 seconds of the game, that tells you that the opponent is going to push. So not having specials ready to shut that down really bit VCU on their little toes.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they had managed to really just nail themselves down for that push, if they had perhaps had an additional resource online, or even if they had been a bit more aggressive previously and really taken better control of their plat in a preemptive response to the clams they could see mounting on the other side, they might have had a bit more luck. But enough of clams. It's time to get on a boat. Manta Maria zones.
We got both teams sticking to those same comps. You expect to see that pencil coming out on zones, but on a map like Manta Maria, it can be a little bit more difficult for that pen to effectively paint both halves of the zone, given it's broken up by that mass in the middle. We see Walk going in for a flank, but we do see them being punished for the speed of that flank, given that 3 of their teammates go down. My question here is, how quickly does Walk commit to this, and what do they get out of it, given that none of their teammates are alive to follow up on it?
Yeah, really interesting opener there. We potentially had the opportunity to get this split attention on VCU, but popping that hammer and just that height difference, meaning you're going to have to take some time to fall down, it just wasn't meant to be. And instead, VCU is going to be able to hold that zone, get it down to 70.
No. Oh, no. Oh, here comes another wipe out there from Lux on the side of Big Fat Sea Cows, going to enable them to continue to tick down these penalty points. Risky jumps, and we do see Central Michigan being punished for that.
Yeah, I mean, that is so unfortunate. All those jumps in the same place, but... bit too eager to take a fight on the alley side there. Both of them going to fall off the map. Now we see these strikes coming out. What will Central Michigan be able to do with them? Doesn't look like much. Unfortunately, the drop on right getting stuffed, and the rest of Central Michigan forced back into the alley by that wiper, and 10 seconds left on the side of VCU zones. You need a cap here if you're Central Michigan.
Yeah, Big Fat Sea Cows doesn't need to cap. They don't need to hold both zones. They just need to keep that one on the right, and that's something that makes a pencil's job so much harder on this map, because you have that giant pole in the middle. Now they're getting really, really close. They just need to cap that left zone. We do see Central Michigan losing the squid advantage, going 2 down, and with it, Big Fat Sea Cows getting the other 2 players bundled up into that corner. We're back and forth here today.
Yeah, I think that match was probably the most different one we've seen so far. Really, quite a dominant show from VCU there, getting that huge pick with the hammer on those jumps, effectively not even allowing Central Michigan the chance to reset, sending them all back to spawn. That is a huge deficit to come back while the zone is ticking down. Not the place you want to be in.
I saw a lot of great ideas coming out from Central Michigan. Walk on that wiper in the opening. Just the flank. You knew. I mean, that's how you break a lockout on that map, right? You flank that right side. You flank cut, and it allows the rest of your teammates to move in through mid and cap both of the zones. To me, it came down to timing. Um, the right ideas, but the timing just being against them. Losing 3 players as you're prepared to flank, that it kind of forces you to put the brakes in it. But opting to go for those picks instead, it did put Central Michigan at a disadvantage. And then same thing with the jumps. You expect jumps to bunker to be safe. But when no one else is in front of your poor little baby pencil, if your opponents just take control of the zone, where's the next place they're going? They're getting their crab set up in your bunk. And so good ideas. I can smell what they're cooking. The timing, just man, it's got to be in the microwave for 10 more seconds.
Yeah, I wonder if we had seen a little bit more patience by Whack on that initial flank. Make VCU wonder, should we go back and deal with that? Is it going to bite us later? Are they jumping over there? What's going on, right?
Don't
But
think they
by
knew they were
popping that
there.
hammer immediately and trying to get those picks, I think maybe we were just a little too antsy. You know, the secret ingredient of a flank and of a shark is time. The longer you let it stew, the more potential you can really milk out of it and start to get your opponents wondering what is going on.
Where is the wiper? The big question. Yeah, I don't think they knew that Whack was there. I smelled the beauty of the flank, and but hey, there's always next time. Sometimes you have a little bit too much coffee before you're set, and it happens to all of us, right?
Yeah. Interesting
Gloogies.
changes we see coming out here. The Glugas, not something you see every day.
Yeah, switching from the bucket to the Glugas, opting for a bait and punish type of Slayer as opposed to something that's playing off of the corners. I do think that'll do them some favors here, given how steep the elevation changes here on Hammerhead and how flat it is in mid. But they are going to lose out on those strikes, and we'll see how much of a difference that makes here, as Big Fat Seek House is the first team to take control of the tower.
Yeah, and they've got this Booyah coming online at the perfect time. Central Michigan using a Booyah of their own, but unfortunately throwing it just a little too far back, and instead VCU is going to take that slight misspacing and surge forward up the bridge and pushing Central Michigan almost back to their spawn. Luckily, they were able to end it, but the tower is still going.
Yeah, and this is where things start to get dangerous on this map with the potential snowball. But Central Michigan here walk again, redeeming themselves from that last game, forcing the player on the side of Big Fat Seek House all the way back to their own half of the map. Now, there's only a minute really having passed in this game. Central Michigan has yet to really show what they can bring to this map.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what we can get out of this double displacement that we see happening between the strikes and the Booyah coming online. We just had the strikes come out, and I'm not sure we're going to be too close to a Booyah yet, especially not if we're going down. Unfortunate for Central Michigan there, but looks like they're still trying to hold mid, especially with that hammer coming out. But it's just a brawl in mid.
And especially with this crab coming out from Fox, going to deny a little bit of momentum, preventing a push from coming out. And we do see Black Booyah and the Strike player both being taken out on Central Michigan. The members of Big Fat Sea Cow swarming EXE and Walk there on that right side of the map, forcing one of them to jump out, leaving Walk alone. They know where they are, and they could potentially push them, but it looks to me like they're ignoring the Wiper player behind them. The Wiper's gonna come out, it's gonna pop stamps! They forgot that they were there! And because of that, Walk able to keep Central Michigan in the game here and deny Big Fat Sea Cows another push.
Yeah, I think VCU said, we know where he is. What's the worst that could happen? They're over there on that side. What's the big deal, right? The hammer is the big deal, right? Forget about that hammer and it can come back to bite you. Unfortunately, Walk was not able to get terribly much value, but it managed to stop the push, and if you're Central Michigan, that's what you want to see right now, right? No more points on the board.
Walk jumping out there about halfway towards that next clutch stamp. We do see Big Fat Sea Cows on control of the snipe area, and this crab from Fox could potentially be devastating. We know that there are 2 players halved on that top right part of the map as Big Fat Sea Cows does get to the 3rd checkpoint. Another Booyah coming out, and when the players of Central Michigan are all clumped underneath that basket, going to force them to move and keep them from shooting at the tower as we tick on down, and Mini bringing game 4 to a KO and Big Fat Sea Cows to a 3-1 scoreline heading into set point.
Yeah, Hammerhead Tower is certainly a map, and I think we've seen what makes it such a map just there. Once you round that 2nd checkpoint, it is so easy to lock out with just a special or 2. There's only a few places that your opponent can go. It's limited and narrow pieces of high ground with a giant wall blocking your view of tower for some of it as well. And I mean, right, we can see it in this replay right here. You can just run up that ramp once you've gotten the space for yourself. And it becomes so hard because the tower is moving down in front of you, but you're having to take these fights on the side. And it's so hard, even though it's such a narrow map, to get both of those in a line.
I think that was such a beautiful play there from Toto, right? They're using the Booyah in order to shred Sigdokari's Booyah armor, rolling the bomb at 6 feet so that way when they do drop, they're going down, and then turning their attention to the other player that was chipped from the Booyah on the right in order to get some chip with their main weapon, get that pick. Then they're rolling themselves forward with another fizzy bomb. Yes, the map is quirky, but genuinely beautiful play there from Toto, and Big Fat Sea Cow's success towards that KO came entirely down to the fact that they were using that crab to move the players off of that top right area where tower can be defended from, and the Booyah to stop the players from dropping out of their own spawn and force them left to where they would be quite literally irrelevant. I thought that the special coordination there towards the end of that game from Big Fat Sea Cows was textbook.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you want to see when you're describing a push, one special after the other coming online and being used in the right place at the right time. You can't critique it. It is beautiful, as you said.
Yeah. There's something to be said about well-coordinated plays and having your chips fall where they need to be at just the right moment. And here we go. We're heading off into Rainmaker Robo Ramen, and let's take a moment to recall how close and even that Rainmaker Humpback game was.
Yeah, but it looks like VCU not adopting that same ballpoint comp we saw before. Probably specifically a humpback comp for them, which with the double fizzy, not too surprising. Now we are still seeing our wonderful friend that we all love, the pencil, come out for that backline. But Walk on the aggression here, not quite able to get out. So close, though.
Yeah, 2 members down on the side of Central Michigan, and Big Fat Sea Cows taking control of this elbow means that we are going to see that first checkpoint fall on the side of VCU. They also managed to get this pop, and this is a good place to hold the Rainmaker, but Mini opting for some early game cheese. Squid rolling that Rainmaker forward with the hit. The stamp coming up from Lux is going to enable that pop. Not enough to go in and quite get stat.exe in that spawn, but 22 points on this map is pretty good here for an opening push coming out from VCU.
We're not even a minute into the game yet. VCU, calm down. We want to watch some gameplay here, but if you ended that quick, we might not be able to. But I mean, oh, and the crab is coming out in this beautiful spot here on top of that glass wall. Gonna have to move a little bit. I thought they were gonna have to drop because of the strike. No, they get a pick on top of that, and the Rainmaker is moving forward once again. This is scary.
We saw Minnie on Humpback opting for some cheese and a choke point, and I expected to see them taking pot shots there, but opting to swim forward, given how far forward their teammates were. Beautiful pick there from Henry in order to get control of their own elbow back, and they're coming out of their spawn here with 2 specials online, ready to re-engage mid. This is going to be really good for Central Michigan if they could get this pop and force some members of Big Fat Seek House to back up, but I would be concerned about Luck sharking on that right side of the map. Stamp coming out from Walk, trying to take on the Booyah, not able to. Central Michigan having no players in front of them to be able to sustain another push, having to walk it back.
And that's so unfortunate, too. I saw what they were going for there. Central Michigan using those strikes to set up Walk in mid, get them in with that stamp. It was so close to being perfect, but just a little bit off because that stamp was able to be shut down before it could really get its full value. But that stamp, on the other hand, is going to be able to shut down the push by VCU and start to get things turned around here for Central Michigan.
Yeah, and those strikes him out an elbow and a beautiful melee there from Walk. Walk really taking assertive control of this elbow up until we do see Toto on that machine winning out the 1v1. We also see Toto was very, very dangerously close to that Booyah. That Booyah is going to come out immediately towards Central Michigan's elbow, and Toto pushing up. This is giving TC Hammerhead the way that we're seeing them play off of that special there, but not knowing that Walk is quite on that bottom right side of the map with that hammer. A lot of picks from Central Michigan, but as I say, a lot of smoke, no fire. Big Fat Sea Cows back in control of elbow.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of the story of this match so far. VCU has had such a tight lockdown on Central Michigan's elbow, and it is such a key point of this map to hold. You've got to come through here to score points. You've got to come through here to take mid back. And so by keeping this Rainmaker lodged firmly in this elbow, I mean, there's really no better place to stall it on this round.
Yeah, but this is where things might change. 3 down on the side of VCU. We know that Splash is on the bottom right area. The strikes are coming out, but there's no one to dislocate with those strikes. We see Henry popping those strikes successively as Central Michigan does finally, with a minute left in this game, break that first checkpoint. Remember that this is where things could potentially snowball, and we do see Walk being very close to yet another stamp. The question is, how much damage can they get done with this? And opting to immediately toss it, not able to pick Fox on that top left, but man, they really want Fox with that crab out of the picture. Not able to do so. Sig trying to get this pick right underneath that crab, but unable to find it. Finally able to shred it, but VCU doing such a fantastic job of holding their own court.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really showing us how potent the crab can be on this map, especially on defense. It is so difficult to dislodge someone from that top left high ground when you are pushing, and if you put a crab up there, what can your opponents do? It can track you the whole way down that ramp. 4 seconds left. Central Michigan does have the pop. Are they going to be able to grab? Yes, but they're going to go down right at the end. And that is game, set, and match for VCU.
Yeah, very dominant control coming out of VCU there. Every single time that they wanted to take elbow, they got it. Whether that were from really quirky stamp plays, a good booyah to force the members to move, or just simply winning their ones. Beautiful plays there from Big Fat Sea Cows in order to be able to take that set. I felt like the further the games went on, the more we saw Big Fat Sea Cows playing together and with their heads, and the plays just became of greater quality the longer the set went on.
Yeah, I have to agree. I really, if I could, I would love to be in VCU's VC right now. And really through that whole match, so that I could ask them, like, what did you figure out? Because we started these first two games off, that Inkblock Clams game and that Rainmaker
Mhm.
Humpback game, so close. But by the time we got to Manta, and then especially then once we saw the tower game on Hammerhead, they had something figured out, whether it was a particular way that Central Michigan liked to push, or perhaps they realized some sort of positioning error. I don't know, but I would love to hear what they thought about where that advantage came from.
I thought that the specials started to come out from VCU with more intent. On that Rainmaker Humpback game, every single time a special was popped on the side of VCU, I didn't really like. Okay, like we know Booyah like wants to clear elbow, but like I didn't really like know what specifically they were trying to accomplish versus later in the set, like I was like, okay, that Booyah's moving those two players so the tower can clear check. Or okay, the crab's coming out to hold snipe to prevent them from getting a defense set up. And then there again at the end of ramen, like, okay, the crab is holding elbow so they can stall this as long as possible. The specials began to be used with much more thoughtfulness, and we saw them reap the rewards from that.
Yeah, and I don't think we should leave Central Michigan out of this discussion either, because we saw shades of the exact same thing from them as well. But it seemed like BC was just able to do it a little bit better by the end of the set. So I wonder, if you're Central Michigan, are you wondering about a communication thing? Are you maybe wondering if the comp itself could be changed? Maybe get some different specials online that can pair up a little bit more easily? Where do you go from here? Because this was close games, um,
Mhm.
and I think that's really important as a team to take away from those matches what you can do to build upon the foundation you already have, and just work out those little kinks and get better and better as you keep playing.
Mhm. As an analyst, I very rarely blame the comp, given that we were looking at essentially a mirror match. Um, there's always the chance that it was just a bad night. And sometimes that happens. Somebody had an exam early, and two exams or today, or didn't have their coffee, or was up a little bit too late last night. You truly never know.
Mhm.
What to me it looked like was the timing with the specials from Big Fat Sea Cows just gave them an edge, to a significant degree. And I can't wait to see where both of these teams go. Now, DRF did mention, um, do 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 do. DRF did mention before we started on that we had another team. I forget their name, but Central Michigan beat Team C. Team C beat VCU, and VCU was expected to beat Central Michigan. Splatlanders. So Central
Flatlanders.
Michigan beat Splatlanders. Splatlanders beat VCU, and then VCU was expected to beat Central Michigan. So within this group, in Division One, we had this circle of these three teams, and I'm curious to see how these tiebreakers are gonna play out.
Yeah, I mean, it's always an interesting position when you have these sort of circles in groups. I don't, off the top of my head, remember how tiebreakers are going to work for CCA.
I don't work
Um,
here.
yeah, we don't work here. They just hired us. We're outsourced. But I following Div One is always such a treat. And I can only echo your sentiments. I'm so excited to see where this group goes from here.
Yeah, me too. I feel like Div 1 always ends up being the group of CCA players that have comp experience, more so than the rest of CCA. And so I see members like Big Fat Sea Cows, the low ink regulars, and then individual players that I recognize on the side of Central Michigan. So it's nice to see our competitors in different contexts. And I wish them all wonderful luck with the rest of the season and their semester.
Yeah, I mean, we're extolling the virtues of Div 1 gameplay here, but luckily we've actually got some more Div 1 gameplay coming up for you guys later tonight. We've got UCF Knights versus PSU Blue with Dark and Grace coming onto the mic in an hour. So if you're watching, stay tuned for more wonderful Splatoon gameplay later tonight. Yeah, anything else you want to add, Seth?
Yeah, well, first, Okama, where can the good people find you?
They can find me at Blue Sky, same username as my Discord username and commentator username and everywhere else username. What about you?
You can find me playing my Ludi match tomorrow on my Twitch at Skepidillions. You can find me on Blue Sky posting pictures of Lego and cacti down below.
Awesome.
Um, well, I guess that'll be us for tonight, Okamu. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to say hi. Thank you to our wonderful staff members for coordinating our stream tonight, as well as providing this circuit or league for all of our teams here with CCA. Stay tuned. We'll be back in about an hour to wrap up our night.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, everyone.
Stay fresh.